We are going live on 3 platforms. So we have a huge fast training week going on right now. And it's going on on all of our platforms. It's going on YouTube, Instagram, our Resetter Collaborative. And the topic of this fast training week is fasting and hormones. So I want to walk through some basic principles that are really important to understand. You're going to see me looking at a lot of different cameras. I actually will post this on Instagram. I'll post it on my YouTube stories how funny this looks right now. I wish you guys could see it from my angle. But what's really important is I want to address the questions that we are seeing in the Resetter Collaborative. We're seeing it on YouTube. We're seeing it on Instagram. Like, women, I hear you. I'm hearing you like really loud and clear that you want more tools on how to use fasting and balance your hormones. And I feel like I've heard every scenario of what do I do if I don't have a cycle? What if I do have a cycle? What if I'm postmenopausal? So this video is to help you guys sort of navigate some of the questions that I'm seeing and figure out how to find the right fast for you. The biggest challenge that we have is that we're all unique. So men, if you haven't heard me say this before, and I'm just going to really go to some of the core principles, men and women need to fast differently. So if you are a woman and you're fasting with your husband and you're like, why is he getting such great results and nothing's happening to me? Stop comparing yourself. Women and men need to fast differently. So, but now the question becomes, every woman needs to fast differently from every other woman. And the reason for that is we all have different hormonal cycles. So we've got to dial into some of the basic principles so that you can figure this out for yourself. And so the first thing I will tell you is that what I'm going to do on this video is we're going to go through the basic principles for women and fasting. And then I also want to tell you thank you for all of your questions on all of our platforms. I've got our collaborative in Facebook here. I've got YouTube there, Instagram, I've got you there. And keep asking the questions, because on all of these platforms, as you ask the questions, my team brings me those questions, and then we start to be able to answer them in video format. So let's start with the basics, okay? The first basic, and I just said it, was women and men, we need to fast differently, okay? Second basic is you need to fast according to your hormones. So women under 40 who have very regular cycles, you need to fast different than women who are 65, postmenopausal women. That fast needs to look different. So I'm going to explain the difference between the different ages. And then we're hearing a lot of women that are in their 30s with no cycle. We'll talk a little bit about that. So that's the direction I'm going to take this conversation. We do have some questions on YouTube, so I will that were already sent in. So I'm going to start with those. Yeah, so I will answer those questions first. Okay, let's start with this. I love this concept called the hormonal hierarchy. And the hormonal hierarchy is that if you want to influence your sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, you're going to have to manage insulin. So that's awesome for those of us who want to go keto and we want to use fasting as a tool. That's phenomenal, okay? So we love that. But here's the trick. What influences insulin is cortisol. So if we go into this one meal a day over and over and over again, it's too much cortisol surging, too much of a hormetic stress, and we start to impact our sex hormones negatively. We start to make ourselves actually a little more insulin resistant. So, and then the beautiful part of the hormonal hierarchy is at the top is oxytocin. I'm not going to talk about oxytocin on this video, but I really want you to keep in mind that if you're struggling with your fasting efforts and you're like, but I'm doing everything you say, and you still feel like you're not getting a good result, we've got to look at your stress levels. We've got to look at getting you more oxytocin. We've got to find new ways to balance that. So that's the basic principle. Okay, let's start if you have a cycle. if you have a regular cycle, here's what you're going to do. You're going to look at the day you start bleeding is day 1. And day 1, it can be like the first time you need a feminine care product. That's day 1, because that's another question we get a lot. Like, how do I know what day 1 is? It's not when you're spotting, it's when you're like, hey, period started, I actually need to use some feminine care products. That's day 1. From day 1 till day 10, I want you to think about the hormone estrogen. So your body is making estrogen so that you can ovulate. Now, remember, this is for a woman who has a cycle. So hold on, women who don't have a cycle or postmenopausal, hang in there with me. During this 10-day period, you can fast like a queen. How you could do 24-hour fast and 36-hour fast. You could do a 3-day water fast. You can go keto. You can work out hard. This period works really well, this 10-day period, because in order to be able to make estrogen, you have to be insulin sensitive and you have to be leptin sensitive. So I've done a lot of videos on that on YouTube. So I want to make sure that you understand that first window is a really critical time for those of you that want to do more fasting. Do it in that time period, okay? Now, day 10 to day 11, like right as we start to go into day 11, what is happening now is that you're ovulating. And at this particular time, we have 3 hormones that are coming through to us in spades. It actually, if you stop and you think about it, you're like, we're freaking rock stars at this point. We've got estrogen surging, we've got testosterone surging, and we've got a little bleep of progesterone. Progesterone is not at its highest there, but we get a little surge of progesterone. So from day 11 to day 15, you can intermittent fast, that's fine, but you don't want to create a lot of hormetic stress. You want to use those hormones that have already been produced. Now, let's talk about testosterone for a second, women. I just did a great interview with Dr. Carrie Jones, who is my hormone guru. Please, it's on the Resetter podcast. Go listen to it. It was such a fun interview. So I want to start off by sending you there if you think you're losing testosterone. But there is an urban myth going around the world, in the fasting world, and that's that fasting will boost testosterone. And it's like the statistics are like 1,300% if you intermittent fast, and it goes up to like 2,000 to 3,000% increase in testosterone if you go up to 24 hours. That would be, I wish that was the case for women. That was done on men. That is a male study. It is not done on women. So we do not have good clarification that fasting long is going to help women's testosterone. We also know that, and Carrie and I talked about this, that there's no magic food you can eat for testosterone either. So that's a little bit of an issue as well. So what we want to do in this little window of ovulation is we want to use the testosterone that's there. And we talk, if you want to know more about testosterone, go to that podcast. So you want to use that. You've got estrogen. You want to use estrogen. And the 2 best ways you can break those hormones down and really use them effectively is intermittent fasting is okay, but you can really focus on gut health. So now, here's where it gets really tricky, and I don't want to confuse you. This is the kind of stuff we do in my academy where we really help customize this for you, but I want you to see the big picture. In this small little window, what's happening is in order to use estrogen and testosterone, you have to have this great gut, but some of you might find amazing gut health with the carnivore diet, and some of you might find amazing gut health with eating more probiotics, polyphenol foods, prebiotics. So you're going to have to figure out what path goes for you. If you eat a ton of vegetables and you're getting bloated, there's a good chance you're going to thrive on the carnivore diet. So try in this window 15 hours of fasting with the carnivore diet and see if you notice that you're utilizing those hormones better. If you don't get that bloatedness, then I would tell you, or you're vegan, in that small little ovulation window, lean into more plants. We've got thousands of bacteria in our gut, and they're like this little pet waiting down there for you to just feed it. It wants to make you feel amazing. It's just waiting for you to feed it to keep it alive. So some of you will, during this little short window, will do well with carnivore. Others of you are going to do amazing with a plant-based, like really going into your greens, feeding the estrobolome. I freaking love that word. I love the estrobolome because what the estrobolome does is it helps us break down estrogen so it's usable. And we need to use that darn estrogen that we spent the first half of our cycle trying to make. We need to use it to our advantage in that small little window. Now, for women who have we're still talking about women who have an active cycle. If you are not trying to actively get pregnant, then once you come out of ovulation, there's another little short window. It's about a 4-day period from day 16 to day, let's just say 19 of your cycle. So it's a 4-day period where you can go back into the big fasts. Go back into 24-hour fasts are great for gut repair. I love the 48-hour fast for dopamine. There's great research showing that it'll help with your dopamine pathways. So you can do that after you ovulate. Then when we get to day 20, this is where we got to nurture the heck out of ourselves. And what nurture looks like for a woman who has a cycle, nurture looks like not exercising long, not going into long fasts. I would say 13 hours max fasting during that time or no fasting. Going into the hormone building foods, the squashes, the beans, the potatoes, leaning into those foods. Nurturing does not mean sitting on the couch eating a tub of ice cream and a box of pizza. Nurturing means, hey, right now my body needs to make progesterone, and in order to make progesterone, I've got to feed it carbs. I'm not going keto. I'm not doing a long fast. I really need to lift up my body and help support it so that it can make progesterone. If you do this for cycling women, in that little section there, if you do that, you will notice that once your cycle starts, you feel like fasting again. I can tell you these are protocols I did through all of my 40s, and I found that when I dialed it in, when I took incredible care of myself the week before my cycle, that I felt like once my cycle started, I wanted to fast. And I also started to notice on day 20, I wanted to eat. I wanted to eat breakfast. I wanted to eat carbs. And so allowing ourselves to change our direction of our fasting and food during that time is pivotal. So that's kind of how we call this the fasting circle. I will be talking more about the fasting circle in my academy. So if this interests you, come join me in my academy. This is where we can really customize this for you. Okay. Women who don't have a cycle or postmenopausal women, I didn't leave you out. So what do we do with that scenario? Okay, the easiest thing, if you're postmenopausal, you're like, it's been decades, that period's not coming back, no problem. I would encourage you to do what I call a 5-1-1. So 5 days a week, you intermittent fast. 1 day a week, you go longer, try to get to that 24-hour fast. And then 1 day a week, you feast. Now, what is that doing hormonally to you is really important. So when you do that longer fast, if you can get yourself to a 24-hour fast, you're leaning into the fasting principles that a 24-hour fast will repair your mucosal lining of your gut. Well, remember, we need our gut to break estrogen down. Now, if you're postmenopausal, you're not getting much more estrogen. And so we need to be able to use that estrogen, and you need your gut to be healthy. So 1 day a week is really important that you extend that fast so that you get it to 24 hours and you keep repairing on a weekly basis. You keep repairing that gut lining. Now, it's also for a postmenopausal woman, it's also really important that you really work on your progesterone levels, because you're not getting much of that either. So that's going to just keep going down as you age. So it's really important that 1 day a week, you really lean into more progesterone building. You don't fast. You really focus on those hormone building foods. So that's the most simple way I can explain it. I do have on my YouTube channel some videos for women over 40. I gave you a couple more variations, but for the sake of this conversation, the most important thing to know is that if you have a cycle, follow the 30-day formula, the fasting circle I just talked about. If you're postmenopausal, try the 5-1-1. Now, let's talk about the woman who's 35 and doesn't have a cycle. So this is where I really want you to use the fasting principles to help you bring your cycle back. And what I would encourage you to do is just start on day 1. I'm going to give you the most simple way to do this. Just say, this is day 1 for me. It's just, let's say you're going to start this protocol tomorrow. You're like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start fasting. So you can do from day 1 to day 10, try something like an autophagy fast. Autophagy fasting is where you go 17 hours. And autophagy is really important because it repairs neurons in the brain. We need the neurons in your hypothalamus, your pituitary, your pineal gland to be really on top of their game so that they can produce the chemicals, the hormones needed to start your cycle back up. So I would do like autophagy fasting from day 1 to day 10, so 17 hours of fasting. And then when you go into your ovulation period, I would do either a ketobiotic, I've done a lot of videos on that, or a carnivore diet, and I would do 15 hours of fasting. Then you come out of your ovulation period, and during day 16 to day 18, I would try to stretch your fast. Can you go to a 24-hour fast? And you can choose whatever food you want. And then day 20, I would do for 7 days, so for a week, I would do hormone building. But be smart and don't, if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to really dive into sweet potato after sweet potato or potato after potato, but you do want to use those progesterone building foods. Now, let's say day 27 comes around, you're like, okay, Dr. Mindy, I don't have my cycle again, so what do? You start back over. Day 1 to day 10, autophagy fasting. Day 11 to day 15, we're going back into intermittent fasting, 15 hours with those 2 food choices. Then we're doing 24-hour fasts, and then we're going no fast hormone building. If you keep doing that cycle, I call it the cycle reset, where you just keep doing that over and over and over again, you will be shocked at how your cycle will come back. And we're seeing it in our resetters all over the place. So that's another way to kind of trick this out, okay? Now, if you're like, that is so confusing. Yes, hormones are confusing. I'm trying to simplify it for you guys. So, couple resources for you. 1, women over 40. I wrote this for you. You asked me to write it. You wanted to know what I did with my menopause journey, how I used my lifestyle only to really help menopause. I put it in the book. So you can pre-order that book. It's all over. Go to my website. It's themenopauseresetbook.com. There's links to it. It comes out April 6th. So that was there for women over 40. Women under 40, there's a couple of resources. Go binge watch my YouTube. I've got a lot of videos out there. I've got more coming for you, so you can go binge watch that. If you're a woman of any age and this is confusing, come join me in my academy. We're doing a reset called the Forever Immune, where I'm going to show you how to use these principles to boost immunity, burn fat, slow aging, and really just be your best as you age. And this is for all ages. So join me. That starts next week, so you can join me in the Forever Immune. Okay. Hopefully I didn't lose you. You weren't like, what the hell is this crazy woman talking about? Again, if you see my eyes moving around, it's because I got three cameras going here, but I really wanted you guys on all these platforms to get this information. So now I'm going to answer questions.
Okay, awesome. So have people watching on all the platforms. We're going to start with the questions that were submitted on our YouTube community page.
Okay.
So that's where we're going
So
first.
you guys like Instagram, I'm looking at you. Resetters, I'm looking at you. Every Thursday I go live just on a weekly basis on my YouTube channel, and I answer fasting questions. If you go to the community page on YouTube and you put those questions in our post on Thursday mornings, I will get to those questions. So that's what Sequoia is going to read me those questions first. I'm going live on Wednesday because I'm going to be at a conference this week, so we switched it up a little bit.
Got it. Okay. So thank you everybody for submitting. First question that is it always okay to be in a state of ketosis?
Yeah, is it a woman?
DM House. I don't know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the question was, is it okay to be in a state of ketosis always? Okay, so this is both sexes, but it especially applies to women, but it's for both of us. Remember that you were not meant to be a sugar burner all day, and you were also not meant to be a fat burner all day. You were meant to switch in and out of these different states. So we want to make sure, as much as we love fasting and ketosis, that we don't get addicted to it and think we're supposed to be there all the time. We're meant to go in and out. So to answer the question, should I be in ketosis all the time? The answer is no. You should be in it most of the time. And you want to go in and out, be able to effortlessly click in and out. So that would be the first thing. Now, women, I want to talk to you because everything I just said is still applicable in this moment. You are not meant to be in ketosis the week before your period. You are meant to be nourishing yourself with these healthy carbs. So be aware of that. Postmenopausal women, you are not meant to be in ketosis as much as like a 60-year-old man. So you might have to step out of ketosis a little bit more so you can protect that progesterone.
Okay. And thank you everybody for putting in where you are. I see on YouTube we have people literally from all over the world.
Awesome.
I'm not seeing the chats and the other
Yeah.
things right now, but thank you for posting where you are. It shows that this is a worldwide community. People can fast for free anywhere in the world.
Yeah. We if you didn't hear that, Sequoia's just on YouTube right now. People put in where they are from all over the world, and we just love our worldwide community because fasting. Here's the cool thing about fasting. It doesn't take time, it doesn't take money. And so anybody, anywhere, any place can do it. It just takes knowledge. And that's what I'm trying to give you guys.
Okay. Kim sort of has a follow-up on that same kind of thing. How much do you want to cycle in and out of ketosis? So you sort of covered that.
Yeah, I think
right?
we covered
Yeah.
cycling in and out of ketosis.
Here's a good question. Restless leg syndrome during fasting.
Okay, let's talk about restless leg syndrome because this is something I've thought a lot about. The question is, I assume they're getting restless leg syndrome
Yes.
when they're
Yep.
fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here when you think restless leg syndrome, I want you to think minerals. So especially potassium, but all minerals. So when you think minerals and fasting, I want you just to assume you're mineral deficient. Okay, that's the first thing we are living not only in the toxic time of human history, but the foods that we're eating are being grown in mineral deficient soils. And this is a massive problem. It's a conversation for another time. Go listen to the podcast interview I did with Jeff Tack from Rodell Institute on regenerative agriculture. But when you come to fasting, this is for everybody, I want you to assume you're mineral deficient. So you want to power up on your minerals before you go into a fasting or before you apply the fasting lifestyle. Now, having said that, I want you to realize that while you're fasting, it's important to be adding minerals in. So you added in before, now you're not eating, so you're definitely not getting any minerals, so you want to add minerals in. There are some great products for that. LMNT is awesome. You can find these on my website. I also like Elite by Body Bio. Again, just go to the store on my website and you'll see all the links for that. So power up on your minerals. Now, if somebody has restless legs, this is a thing in my family. Dad has it, sister has it. I've been working to stop it. And how I've done it is A, by powering up on minerals, and then B, you have to look at what is blocking the mineral receptor sites. And the main thing that blocks mineral receptor sites are heavy metals. So if you continue with restless legs issues, you gotta up the minerals, keep fasting, don't stop fasting, up the minerals, and then if that doesn't work, you really gotta look at your heavy metal load. Because heavy metals are a huge symptom of a high heavy metal load is restless legs. So be aware of that.
Great. And Stephanie has a question about fast training week.
Okay.
You when doing these fasts, the ones that for this week, do you recommend on holding off on working out?
Okay, So Stephanie had a question on YouTube about fast training week. Should you fast? Should you work out while you're fasting?
Right. Do your normal workouts, or should you?
Yeah.
stop
So
doing your normal
let's talk about this just in applying it to everything. During fast training weeks, I usually give you guys two options. This week I gave you some really diverse, hopefully some diverse resources. Every day is something a little different. So we kind of mixed it up a lot. And then I always give you the water option. You can do like a 3-day water fast. If you're going to do a 3-day water fast, personally, I am not a fan of working out when you're doing a 3-day water fast. I'm actually not a fan of you working out if you're fasting anything over 24 hours. And here's why. When you have made that commitment to fast 24 hours, what you're saying is okay, intelligence inside my body, I'm going to just not give you some food for a little while, and I need you to go to work. I need you to start to repair my body. If all of a sudden you throw in a stressor like working out, and yes, working out is a stressor, if you throw that into the picture, what ends up happening is, again, we're back at this idea that you can start to raise cortisol and you'll start to tank your sex hormones. So anything over 24 hours, no working out. But under that, working out is amazing to do in a fasted state because you force your body to go get glycogen. So I only work out in a fasted state. And what it does is that it is telling my body, hey, you stored some sugar in the muscles, and now I'm going to work those muscles. I'm going to need that sugar that I stored there. I stored some sugar in my fat. I stored some sugar in my liver. And now I'm working out. I'm in this fasted state. I need you to go find that. And so it goes after our stored glucose, which is awesome. If you eat before you work out, your body never has to go find that stored sugar. So it is a really cool weight loss tool. It's a health tool that if you are fasting less than 24 hours, it's great to work out in that fasted state. Over 24 hours, nope, let's honor the intelligence, let it do its job, let's not increase cortisol.
Awesome. And this is really interesting, sort of along the same lines about getting stressed out about stuff.
Okay.
This is from Lilith, and they have the Keto Mojo, and they love it. And they're waking up with morning glucose. She's 57.
Okay. I'll repeat the question, don't worry. Go ahead.
Waking up with morning glucose 72 to 74.
Okay.
Which is really good numbers.
Right.
And her ketones are 0.3 to 0.8. But she's not losing weight, and she has about 5 more pounds she wants to lose.
Okay. I think I understand the question. Let me repeat it.
57 postmenopausal.
Okay. 57 postmenopausal woman is waking up with a blood sugar in the 70s, which is awesome. Yeah. And her ketones are like 1.5?
0.3 to 0.8.
Oh, 0.3 to 0.8. Okay, so remember, ketosis is over 0.5. So we're in the ballpark. Mm-hmm. So she's waking up fairly in ketosis, but she's not dropping weight. She has 5 more pounds. So there can be a couple reasons. When you look at your numbers, you're doing all the right things, and you're not losing weight. Okay, the first thing I want to point out, and she's postmenopausal. So the first thing I want to point out is you may have to open up your detox pathways. So I would look at castor oil packs for the liver. I would look at coffee enemas. Those can really open the liver up so that it can move toxins out as you are fasting, as you are in a ketogenic state. I want to point out that the ketogenic diet, fasting, it's not like any other diet. It is a healing diet. And when your body heals, what it starts to do is it starts to detox. So we don't want the body to push the toxins out and then reabsorb it back in fat. That might be what's going on. So let's open up those detox pathways. Liver, you can do it with castor oil packs. You can do it with coffee enemas. Make sure your kidneys are really well hydrated. So make sure you're drinking a lot of water. Think about your gut. So your gut has to be a top priority. So make sure that you're having a bowel movement every day. So those would be some of the obvious ones. Also, you can go listen to the podcast I did with Kelly Kennedy, who is our lymph queen. She has some hacks for opening up our lymph system so that we can move toxins through. So the first thing I would tell you is make sure your detox pathways are open. Okay, second thing, what I didn't hear in your question is, are you varying your fasts and are you varying your food? So a lot of times we get these many times we get this incredible result with fasting. And so we just want to do more and more and more of it. And your numbers, your blood sugar is showing that you're doing great. But if we're not stepping out of ketosis, if we're not varying our fast a little bit more, then our metabolism does slow down if that's been going on for a long period of time. So for this woman, she's 57, she may need to step out and do like a week of hormone building and then go back in. And then go back into ketosis, go back into a 1 meal a day, and that 5 pounds may come off like that. Third thing, if you're not getting that extra weight to go, especially for a postmenopausal woman, we've got to look at toxins. Toxins will block receptor sites. Toxins can make you leptin resistant and actually cause you to put on weight. So toxins can be a major issue that you're going to need to work on. So those are my three hacks for a 57-year-old woman not losing weight, but her blood glucose looks good.
Okay, and again, we're sticking with the questions that were submitted ahead of time. So I know some of our team is putting in questions from other platforms. I'm not sure if we're going to even get through all the ones that were pre-submitted.
Okay.
So we might not be getting to any live questions. Okay. I asked the question about if people are having problems keeping their carbs low, like under 20, any hacks?
Under 20?
20 grams.
Okay,
yeah.
yep.
Any hacks or ideas or thoughts on that?
They're struggling to keep, the question is, I'm struggling to keep my carbohydrates low,
Right.
under 20 grams, which I just want to point out, 20 grams is low keto to me.
Right.
Regular ketobiotic that you can do on a regular basis is 50 net carbs. So I just want
That's net carbs.
That's
too.
net carbs, and I want to make sure this person understands that too. 20 grams should be net carbs. The difference between total carbs and net carbs is the fiber. So how you figure out that difference is you take your total carb and then you subtract the fiber, and that's your net carb. So they're having trouble staying under 20 grams. And we don't know why. I assume it's because of just craving carbs. I mean, there must be a craving or a discipline or something issue. So I would say a good hack, anytime, there's two things that I do anytime I'm trying to make a change to my diet. One, my favorite foods will not live in my pantry if it's going to pull me out of health or pull me into a carb-rich state. So make sure you're just not around the carbs. That would be the first thing. When you know you're going into low carbohydrate world, don't have them in your pantry, because now they're in your face and it takes some serious willpower. Okay, second thing that I want you to think about is if you up your good fats, a lot of times it kills the hunger hormone. And when it kills the hunger hormone, now you're not hungry, so it's just a mental craving, like you're looking for a dopamine hit. If you're looking for a dopamine hit, there are a lot of ways you can get dopamine hits. Go call your favorite friend, sit down and watch your favorite Netflix series, get out into nature, go for a walk. I mean, there's so many, listen to great music, dance in your kitchen. There's so many ways you can get dopamine. So remind yourself that the reason you are craving that carb is because you want the dopamine. So go find dopamine in other ways. That's the second trick, I would say. The third trick is, and I think this is a trick to all changes in our diet, is just keep yourself busy. Busy really will, make a difference. I can't tell you how many times here in my office I have a hunger hit at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I get on a podcast interview, and an hour later the hunger's gone. So as soon as ketones kick in, they go up into the brain and they tell the hunger hormone to shut off. And once that hunger hormone shuts off, gosh, it becomes a lot easier to follow our diet habits. So that's something that hopefully, those are kind of my 3 hacks. I did a great interview with Autumn Smith on the Resetter podcast, where she's a food psychologist and talks a lot about some hacks. So you can go check that out.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
resource. Fasting with low progesterone.
Okay, This is a good one
A
too.
lot of people have asked this on all
Okay,
the platforms.
fasting with low progesterone. So, okay, so I'm going to assume you have low progesterone, which is awesome. We don't want to leave you out of the fasting conversation. You just may need to do a little less fasting. So if you have a cycle, I would tell you, you need to start after you come out of that ovulation phase, around day 18, you need to go into hormone building. So and you may have to do it a little longer. So you might have to go 10 days at the time when your body's making more progesterone. We also get a little bleep of progesterone in that ovulation phase. So you might need to move more into more hormone building with a little intermittent fasting in that ovulation phase. So you are going to need to be a little less in the deeper fast. You might stick to just intermittent fasting only. You might have to pull yourself out of a fasted state the week before your cycle and really do those hormone building foods. If that's not working, here would be an incredible hack. You would just do intermittent fasting one day. You could do it with the ketobiotic style of eating. The next day, you don't fast. You do hormone building. Next day, you do an intermittent fast, ketobiotic. Next day, hormone building, no fasting. And you might have to alternate so that you can start to give your body the nourishment it needs to make progesterone. The other thing I just want to point out is that progesterone does not like stress. So if you are stressed all the time, if you have, you're working out long hours, if you're not getting enough of the sleep, that's a big deal to progesterone. So really protect your stress, protect your sleep. And that should really help. So those gives you some options. Again, these are the kind of things we're working on in the academy if you need more structure with that. Okay.
Okay, Paul has a question. This is a good one. What do you think of resistant starch?
Resistant starch.
Yeah.
Are you sure this isn't your favorite question?
No, it's not my favorite question. It's not, but it goes into gut health.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. My hubby loves the conversation on resistant starch. So yeah, we love resistant starch because it feeds those bacteria in your gut. So do it. Yes.
Good quality.
Good quality. Like one of our, I'm going to give a shout out to the Gut Club. If you're not following the Gut Club on Facebook, I highly recommend it. Keith Bell does an amazing job of bringing us science, couple studies every day on different ways we can support our microbiome. So he has done an incredible job with the Gut Club. And one of the things I learned in chatting with him, a couple of years ago, was that purple potato has a high amount of resistant starch in it and can get down into the lower parts of our intestinal tract and can feed the bacteria in the lower large intestine. That's pretty cool. So, fan of resistant starch. Paul? I think Paul asked me.
Paul, yeah. And this is a follow-up. What would men do differently? Would men do anything differently? They just don't, they can fast whenever.
Men, that's a great, and men, we don't want to leave you out of the conversation either, but you can fast whenever. You can, now you have to be mindful, you're made for metabolic switching, so you're not made for one meal a day forever. You also need to have some feast days. I like men who want to build muscle. I recommend you do some protein loading days, and those are really fun. I've done a bunch of videos on YouTube on it where every couple of hours you do a big burst of protein. 20, 30 grams of protein stimulates mTOR. I would do 1 day a week if you want to build muscle, 1 or 2 days of feasting on protein, and then go into these deeper states of like autophagy. And when you are switching in and out of autophagy and mTOR, now you really get that lean look, but you're building muscle. So, and that works for both men and women. But if men want to know a fasting variation, that's my favorite because you guys are so, with all that testosterone, you're really good at building muscle. So that's a fun hack.
Okay. We have definitely, that one I'm going to skip. Yeah, we're not going to get into any specific advice about any kind of medical conditions or medications.
Yeah, you guys. A lot of times you ask questions about medications and specific medical advice. Because I don't know your complete health history, it's really hard to answer that. But stick with it. I don't want you to lose hope. It's just a platform that's tough. Come in our academy. We're doing more customization in there. That's a great place. Binge watch me on YouTube, and I've tried to address every question I can possibly think of. So
Okay, you've been on for about 45 minutes. Do you have some more? Do you still feel more
let's
questions?
do two more.
Two more questions. Okay. Okay, here's a good thing. This is CM. This is on YouTube.
Okay.
When they eat certain foods, they get brain fog, and hives.
Brain fog?
Brain fog and hives.
And when they eat certain foods.
Right. Specifically, pizza and dates. Two different things.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, dates is fascinating. Okay, let's talk about when you are reacting to food in general. So, really common question I get is, do you believe in food sensitivity tests? And that is a little bit of a yes and no question. So, I believe that we are reacting to certain foods, but I don't believe that it's the food's fault. Now, there's a few exceptions to that. Gluten is not what it used to be years and years ago. It's being heavily sprayed. Peanuts being heavily sprayed. There's a lot of foods that are just not, they're like the way we take care of our food, it's so sad. So our food is more fake, it has more chemicals, and you might be reacting to that. But there's a deeper root cause that I want you to not lose sight of. And that's that you may have gut dysbiosis. And that means that you don't have a good, diverse microbiome. You might have leaky gut where your mucosal lining, the junction is open, and so things are getting in to your bloodstream, and you're having an immune response to it. So, couple of tricks. First, my favorite gut recommendation is actually twofold, but I'm going to tell you the first one. Shout out to Zach Bush and Ion Biome. Everybody should be using Ion Biome. You can go to my website and find it, but this product will save your food allergy life. It will save your gut problems, because what Zach figured out was that we were missing key bacteria, and he brought it back into this product that is acts like a protective mechanism. So make sure that you are doing Ion Biome. Second favorite food allergy hack is, let's lean into the 24-hour fast. So remember, at 24 hours, you are rebooting intestinal stem cells. So you're regenerating, you're repairing that mucosal lining. The reason you're reacting to lectins, the reason you're reacting to oxalates, to gluten, to dates was the question, is because that mucosal lining is deficient of protective bacteria. Now, does that mean I don't believe in lectins and oxalates? No, it's fascinating to me that plants have a toxin. But let's just stop for a moment and ask ourselves why there's just more and more and more food allergies. And that has to do more with the damage that's occurring inside our guts right now, and we got to restore that inner gut lining. It's like a thin saran wrap, and it's like somebody came and poked holes in it, so food can get into your bloodstream, and your body has an immune response to it. And now all of a sudden you are reacting to everything from pizza to dates to kale. So let's go back to good health in the gut, and that starts with Ion Biome and with things like 24-hour fast.
And resistant starch.
And resistant starch, that's right.
The last question, I think this is really good for vegetarians,
Okay.
is about how to use oils in your food.
Okay.
I think especially when you're looking at good fats.
Yeah, so another common question we get a lot is, well, I'm vegetarian, how do I do all of this? And it's really important that you increase your oils. My favorite keto vegetarian is Dr. Sonia Jensen. You can go find her here on Instagram. I'm pretty sure she is. You can find her there, follow her. And I've picked her vegetarian brain a lot on how she does keto and vegetarian. And what I learned from her was that she does a lot of oils, like scoops of oil. She uses Andreas seed oils as our favorite. Puts it in a spoon before she eats a meal. That will stabilize the blood sugar. She pours the oils all over her food. That will also help to create a more stable blood sugar. And she also will do after the meal oils. And Andreas seed oils he did an amazing job. You can go through my website. All these things are there. But he has all these different oils, and he talks about all different kinds of what each oil does. So for me, as a menopausal woman, I love the flaxseed oil. I love the 5-seed oil too. So I actually use their oils in our salad dressings at home. They're highly concentrated. I mix it in with our olive oil. So power up your oils if you're vegetarian and you want to stay keto.
And you have these things on your desk, not because we knew you were going to use them, but because you like to take them.
Like you guys are at my husband's laughing because I'm like, oh, I have this. So I literally have the oil sitting here, and I put it in my mouth on a regular basis along with the Ion Biome. I just pull the lid off, and I'm dousing myself in Ion Biome every day. So.
Okay, any last thoughts on Fast Training Week as we get ready to wrap
up?
So
this was Fast Training Week. This is why I'm coming to all of you guys live like this. We do this once a month. It's a 5-day period. It's a way for us to exercise our fasting muscle. The next one, stay tuned. We always post when the next one will be. I don't remember the dates. It'll be in April. If you want to dive into building a fasting lifestyle with me in greater detail, join me in the Forever Immune. These resets that I do with my Academy group is incredible. The results are incredible. The connections we get, the questions that get answered. So if you want to dive deeper into this knowledge, join us. Just put Forever Immune in your comments if you're on YouTube or on Facebook. If you're on Instagram, it's in my bio. You can find it there. And April 6th, Women Over 40. This was my passion project. This is how I healed my own hormones. And I'm excited to share it with you. You can pre-order it now. And as always, you're a miracle. You're a miracle. You're a miracle. Don't ever give up on yourself. You were born in this incredible body. It's just nobody taught you how to use it. And fasting will turn on that miracle so fast. And I want to show you how to do that. So don't give up. Okay? Have an awesome day.